Hi, I'm Dr. Blaze, and I would like to share with you some insights from different scientific disciplines why siblings can differ so much.
Hi, Dr. Blaze. I would love to hear what you have to say, as I've got two sons who are completely different from each other. What's going on?
Why do children raised in the same family so often turn out so different? For decades, this question has puzzled not only parents but also educators, psychologists, and clinicians. It's easy to believe that consistent parenting, shared values, and common environments would lead to similar outcomes. Yet that belief often doesn't hold up in real life, and science now offers a more nuanced explanation.
Interesting. How come?
Okay, let's start from here. Modern behavioral genetics has revealed that inherited DNA differences and unique environmental experiences shape children in ways that are both powerful and unpredictable. Even siblings raised side by side can end up with vastly different personalities, interests, mental health profiles, and behaviors. The reasons for this are rooted in genetics, yes, but also in something called the non-shared environment. Let's begin with genetics. Every child receives 50% of their DNA from each parent, but not the same 50%. Due to genetic recombination, siblings inherit a different mix of their parents' genes. This means that although they come from the same genetic pool, each child is genetically unique. This uniqueness sets the stage for individual differences in traits like sociability, impulsivity, emotional regulation, and cognitive ability. Scientists often talk about something called heritability. This doesn't mean that a trait is 50% genetic and 50% environmental in any one person. Instead, heritability refers to the proportion of variance in a trait across a population that can be attributed to genetic differences. For example, if the heritability of attention span is 50%, it means that across a population, half the observed variation in attention is linked to genetic differences.
The non shared environment? Can you explain what you mean, please?
Okay, so here it goes. Twin studies offer compelling evidence for this. Identical twins who share nearly all their genetic material are far more similar in psychological traits than fraternal twins, who share only about half. This pattern has held true across decades of research in different countries and cultural settings. In addition, adoption studies, which separate genetic and environmental influences, show that children often resemble their biological parents more than their adoptive ones in traits like temperament or other body differences. Yet genetics is only part of the picture. One of the most surprising findings from behavioral genetics is that the so-called shared environment, the home, parenting style, socioeconomic status, explains far less about sibling differences than previously assumed. Instead, the most significant environmental influences are non-shared. The non-shared environment refers to the individual, idiosyncratic experiences that shape one sibling but not another. These can include differences in friendships, teachers, illnesses, birth order, accidents, and even how each child perceives the same situation. One child might interpret a parent's strict rule as supportive, while another sees it as punitive. These subtle differences in perception, combined with chance events, create developmental pathways that diverge over time. Consider a family where one child struggles with anxiety while the other thrives socially. Even though both children were raised in the same household, the anxious child may have had a difficult transition at school, a health scare, or a personality that is more sensitive to stress, shaped partly by their genes. Meanwhile, the outgoing sibling may have formed strong early friendships, reinforcing confidence. Over time, these small differences accumulate, reinforcing divergence.
I see. I think I'm getting the picture. Can you explain a little bit more, please?
Sure. A landmark twin study in 2023 showed that non-shared environmental influences accounted for nearly half of the variation in children's subjective well-being. Shared family factors, by contrast, accounted for only a small portion. These findings challenge long-standing assumptions in psychology and parenting that suggest upbringing is the dominant force in child development. It's important to stress that this does not mean parenting is irrelevant. Extreme environments, such as chronic stress, trauma, or highly enriching support, do have profound effects. But within the range of typical parenting, it's very difficult to engineer specific outcomes. This can be both liberating and humbling for parents. Rather than trying to mold children into a particular image, the more effective approach is to support their individual needs and differences. This perspective also invites a shift in educational and clinical settings. Understanding that much of children's behavioral diversity stems from genetic and non-shared environmental factors can reduce judgment and stigma. Instead of asking what went wrong, when a child struggles, we might ask, what do they need? Or, how does this child's nature interact with their experiences? The science also casts doubt on universal theories of development that attempt to explain all behavior through relationships or early experiences alone. For example, attachment theory has been influential in psychology, but it often overlooks the role of innate temperament and biology. Children differ from birth, and their ability to form secure attachments is influenced not only by caregivers, but also by genetic predispositions that shape how they interpret and respond to the world. Ultimately, the most important lesson from behavioral genetics is that human development is complex, probabilistic, and deeply individual. Siblings differ not because someone failed, but because each child is navigating a distinct path shaped by a unique mix of genes and life events. Even identical twins who start with the same DNA can diverge because of random, unshared experiences.
Oh, I see. I felt guilty because I might have failed somewhere and couldn't figure out why. I tried to do my best as to my knowledge.
I completely understand. Although bear in mind that rather than striving for control, parents, teachers, and clinicians can focus on responsiveness, adapting to who the child actually is. By appreciating the interplay of nature and nurture, we can move beyond blame and toward understanding. We can offer support, not scripts. This science doesn't diminish the role of love, guidance, or environment. Instead, it clarifies that the same input will not produce the same outcome in every child. And that's not a problem to be fixed, but a truth to be embraced. In the end, every child is an original, shaped by forces both seen and unseen, and our job is to help them thrive on their own terms.
I see. That explains a lot. I will now start looking for their unique characteristics and help them developing them in their uniqueness and not go against it. Thank you for this moment, Dr. Blaze.
You're more than welcome and glad to be of help. See you next time. Bye.